EU5 has over 80 of map modes across various categories between government, economy, population, demography, diplomacy, warfare, geopolitics, and geography. The map modes will be a huge tool and a weapon in your hands to achieve success. On the first glance it looks like most of them are useless, but one of them has small things that you'll be definitely leveraging to achieve success in your gameplay. This guide will be to walk you through my favorite map modes and what they are hiding. Except the 80-ish map modes that you'll be seeing here, there's also one map mode that is not visible on the first glance and it's hidden. I'm gonna show you how to unlock it, as it's pretty important for the gameplay. First of all, management of your map modes. On the bottom of the screen you will be having the map modes that are pinned. If you want to unpin a map mode, you can right click on one of the map modes here on the list. For example, I can unpin the control map mode. If I wanted to pin again, I can just go ahead and click a star next to a map mode in the list of the modes. This way you can control yourself what map modes you will be using. The map modes will also have their bins. If I go to settings and input bindings, you'll see that each of the map modes will have a specific action on your keyboard to get activated. You can change it to whatever you want, just based on how you're using your keyboard. For example, if I wanted to open the control map mode, I can currently click Ctrl R to get on this screen, or you can just simply go ahead and jump between the map modes on the bottom of your screen. Each of the map modes will also have its own legend, obviously. Obviously, that's not something that EU4, for example, had, but you see next to the map mode name will be legend key that you can open just to understand, okay, if a location is red, it is at 0 and it's going to go towards yellow at 50, it's going to go towards green towards 100, and at 100 is gonna be at this light blue color. You can use map modes to take a look at your country just like I'm doing right now, but you can also check how the other countries around are doing, which is often a useful piece of information if you want to understand, oh, okay, how Byzantium is taking care of their control. You can take a look at that and understand how they are handling this by themselves, which in early stages of you learning the game might be very useful to improve yourself. You can go between categories and look for the map mode that you want to find, but you can also just go ahead and search for a specific map mode. For example, I'd like to find the fourth map mode, I can just type it and you see that's gonna just appear on the list, so I can easily find it. Let me show you now a few map modes that I'm actively using. One of the most used map modes that I'm having is the integration map mode. This will allow you to understand what is the stage of each of the locations. If it's green, it is meaning that it's a fully cored location, and when you hover on a location you also get information what it means. It means you're getting plus 20% max control, monthly control, and you can see only primary and accepted cultures will be growing in these locations. Yellow means a province that is integrated but not fully cored, which means that you conquer the location and you use a cabinet action to integrate it, but you don't have over 50% of the population on that location being your own or accepted culture. And you see it only gives 5% control, so it's tiny fraction. It is reducing the pop assimilation speed and it is still keeping some separatism. Finally, red locations will be provinces and locations that are not integrated. They have much decreased pop conversion assimilation speed, they have decreased control, and they also have lower garrison growth and a much higher separatism. So it means, you see by this data already, that you need to turn province from unintegrated to integrated to get rid of most of the rebels, and then you need to take province from integrated to cored actually to start fully controlling that location and getting more gains out of it. You'll also be seeing that if a location is in the middle of being integrated, it is gonna be red with the yellow stripes. And when you hover, you'll be also getting information when the integration is gonna be finished. Finally, if a location is colonized, it is gonna have a very similar color to conquered, but a bit darker. Another important map mode you'll be using all the time is the control map mode that I already explained to you, but it's gonna be very helpful to understand what actions that you're doing to your locations, how they impact into control, and obviously you want to have as high end control in as many locations as possible. A map mode that is very linked to it is gonna be proximity map mode, which is one of the main sources of your control over the locations. When you see the more far away location is from your capital, the more proximity it is gonna have. The lowest proximity cost between the two locations is 0.01, but of course to be changing with the various stuff impacting is like building roads, getting societal values, getting advances, or even buildings done to get this decreased. And you'll be seeing that proximity will be like the default base number for your controls. In this case it's 46, but then stuff like temples, being a location, being a town on a city will be crossing that, and obviously being cores, as well as some other buildings and modifiers. Very linked to that will be also roads, which as you see will be getting you understanding, okay, where you build all roads, where you should build them more. An important note is that usually you want to build the roads that are also following rivers. And that's why reverse map mode will be also very useful to get these two together, because you have a road and a river, you also have additional buildings that help you with the proximity. And reverse is the map mode that will not find anywhere on this list. So when you go to settings, you go to input bindings, you'll be able to find reverse map mode on the list. I think river arrows and some others are also not normally on the list, so be able to bind a specific key to open that map mode. I also use markets all the time to manage my game. That is a bit deeper. You'll be able to see in the markets map mode, first of all, where the markets are in your lands. You'll be able to see the sand tolls, that's the little icon here. See, there's a sand toll here as well, for example. You'll be able to also understand what's the market's access of specific locations, and market access will be very impacting, for example, transportation distance to market, but also how much the specific location is producing. I'm also using that map mode to just click on my nodes when I want to more manually manage my trades. So for example, I'm trying to look, okay, what kind of surplus I'm having in the market. I can choose whatever I want to export or import to my country, and is it actually worth doing? Raw materials is also gonna be pretty useful. It's unreadable by default, but for example, you would like to see where do you have locations with silver. You just need to find one location with silver, click on an icon of that silver, and you'll be seeing, okay, silver is here, 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 and here. If I want to get more, I have to expand into Serbia, or I have to expand into Hungary in that case. You'll also be able to just click and start improving the RGOs through this map mode. Or you see, this is also, since it's a screen of a specific good, you'll be able to open RGO builder for that trade good, or browse any buildings that are producing it, but of course there are no buildings producing silver. I use base tax map mode just to understand how my locations are doing compared to the rest of the world, like for example how India and China are much stronger than Europe. You see in this case, for example, Constantinople has a decent base tax of 74, but it is still lower than some of the European mega cities, like for example Krakow sitting at 105. Location ranks is also gonna be very useful, and that's because you usually want to spread control via upgrading your rural locations to towns and then cities. For example, here I'm building a megalopolis around the Marmara Sea, so be able to understand where do I have the cities and towns ready, where I should improve them, and where they're already being improved. You see this stripes is suggesting so. Population map mode might be also very useful for you to plan building the cities. It is because to build a city you need at least 30,000 pops in a location. So if you're not overly populated like India, you'll be looking, okay, which locations have 30,000 population and a trade good that I don't need for RGOs to actually improve it to a city. And you can also use it to just understand what is the population of the other nations. You see 12 million in France, 5 million in Spain, but this is also visible simply by hovering on a specific nation. Cultures map mode is very useful because you need at least 50% of the pops of that culture of your culture or accepted culture for it to become a core. So you'll be seeing that, for example, here Turkish is pretty much fully. Here I have mainly Turkish, but there are some stripes from the Greek culture. Here the name of the Greek means that they have over 50% of the population. But in general, what I also do like using is simply the society tab to understand, okay, where are the Turks, where are the other cultures in the country, and are they accepted or not. You can also use religious map mode, first of all per country, to understand where you will have the religious casus belli or on which nations will be getting more AE. You can use the same map mode on the location level, and you see it works very similar to the cultures map mode. One of the map modes that I really like looking at, because I'm usually doing better than AIs at, is the literacy. You know, literacy will be mainly impacting how fast you research the new technologies, but when you hover on it, you see it also has some specific impacts. For example, literacy of the burghers is increasing the development growth and the burghers' trade capacity. The cleric's legitimacy is impacting pop conversion speed and assimilation speed. The tooltips are great in that game. The Turkish nobles' literacy is increasing monthly control and cultural tradition. While, for example, soldiers affects your manpower and for defense, and peasants impacts your pop promotion speed and so how fast they become laborers, etc, etc. So this is very important. You'll be usually seeing that rural locations have some default peak, like you see around 20 in my case, while the towns and cities will be having it much bigger, because usually towns and cities will be having buildings to increase that literacy in a location, like a library or a university. Diplomacy is obviously very important. I use this map mode for a few goals, for example, to taking a look at the truces. You can also take a look at the truces over here, but in case you have plenty of truces, just a map mode might be a bit faster. I'm using it, of course, to understand who I have a quick look at truce with, what are the alliances of the other guys, are these AIs running any wars currently. That's just a better understanding on what is happening. Also, if a nation is great, it means you don't have diplomatic range to reach it. See, this is the whole legend of what exactly each of the things are doing. So, for example, these are the rivals because of their color. This is my enemy. Or there's an overlord of my rival, etc, etc. Very linked to this will be also antagonist map mode, where we'll be able to understand what is the antagonist, or I guess an expansion of specific nations towards you. If it's you know, going yellow and towards orange, it means that the antagonist is increasing and you're going towards a coalition threshold. If it's orange, they can join your coalition, just like Kursk here, you see it's over 50. If it's yellow blue, it means they have no antagonism, so there's below 0 of antagonism. When it is red, they are in the coalition, just like they are right now. Here's place map mode, just in case you'd like to take a look at yourself. This actually are colored because I was jumping between the countries to show you the map modes. So in my case, it is just me being a player, and you see subjects in this map mode are stripes. The default map mode that I recommend you to be using is the terrain map mode, not the political one. The political one is, you'll see, just looking a bit worse on the details, especially when you zoom in. The terrain map mode just looks better. Very important, especially when you get more experience, is the tactical map mode, which is kind of replacement of what, you know, more experienced U4 players were using simple terrain map mode. Here, instead of showing you the terrain types, you're seeing what kind of maluses you're gonna get by attacking a specific location. You see, if it's a penalty of 0, if it's a penalty of 1, is it a penalty of 2, or you get a -3 for attacking a specific location. You also do see forts, or like special forts like this one that I'm having. One thing that I think is lacking here to be somehow visible are, of course, the R rivers, but where you get maluses through the river crossing. I think EU4 did a much better job at showing that in the simple terrain map mode. You'll be probably using also province map mode. Sometimes it's just useful to understand where the province is, when you want to get a claim or do something different. Areas, or finally, one of the also a bit hidden map modes that I recommend using is the maritime presence. Because maritime presence is what is gonna help you with the spread of the proximity through the sea, as well as increasing your trade advantage in your markets. So that map mode is definitely something I would recommend you to pin. Finally, there are some other map modes that are more situational. For example, if you want to understand, okay, what are the building-based countries, especially when you want to play as one, you see there'll be, for example, Hanseatic League. You'll be seeing banks like Peruzzi that is over here, or Bardi that is all over here. There will be also the clans in Japan that will be the building-based countries. You'll be able to take a look at the pop-based countries, which are pretty much natives. I never tried them. From my understanding, they are not really playable. They're more like something in the background of the game. Yeah, I can't even click to play them as one of them. You'll be able to also find the army-based countries like obviously Golden Horde or Chagatai and some of the other hordes around that region. You can look at the government types just to get a better understanding what is around the world, and if you want to try playing as that specific government type. Country ranks. Again, very also impactful on what you can do with specific country ranks. I think province food is also something that I've used quite a few times, especially in Italy. So you can get an understanding, okay, why is this location losing food, and try to fix it. Development, but it's again more to understand how behind Europe is to India and China, but obviously development will be impacting a lot of things. So it might be, for example, impactful on you deciding to change your capital. Where will be the rebels loading? For example, you know, oh, I'll be having a civil war. Where these rebels will appear in the country so you can get prepared. Where are the holy sites, as they give some bonuses, so you can then, you know, target your conquest to unlock this. To unlock the specific bonuses in your gameplay. Where are the institutions? So you can try getting it. You know, institution will be spreading either via locations or via trade, so you can use that map to understand where you can get the institution from by just trading with that market. There is a truces map mode. You don't have to use Diplo or antagonist map modes to understand that. Military access map mode, also sometimes very useful to understand from where to get extra access. Supply map mode, so you can keep your troops, like especially bigger stacks, in the right location and not lose food and then get attrition. Forts, this is to understand the AIs that are not spamming the forts everywhere anymore. In some of the past patches, like India was one big fort, for example, that is fixed already. Where the diseases are, which is also important. You don't want to put your, for example, troops on a location for disease. Natural harbor capacity, also pretty important to spread your maritime presence, and many other of the map modes that you can of course play around with and understand how the game works. But yeah guys, this is it from me for today. I hope that you're gonna use this bit of knowledge for your own gameplays to also better understand how to leverage this map mode to achieve success. If it was of help, make sure to subscribe to the channel to get notified about my other guides in the future. Bye!